3 men stormed the stage in front of 301 Navy SEALs and accused her of betraying her country. They thought they had her cornered. They had no idea they'd just picked the wrong woman. The auditorium exploded into chaos as the trio thrust forged, documents forward, their voices thundering through the speakers, labeling her a traitor who had sold out her unit for personal gain. Sarah Kane stood frozen for a split second, her breath catching in her throat. But then her training surged back like a tidal wave. "You fools," she whispered into the mic, her words slicing the air. "You've just signed your own downfall." In mere seconds, as the 301 SEALs watched in stunned silence, she unraveled their lies, turning accusation into utter defeat. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Sarah Kane had never been one to seek the spotlight, yet here she was, thrust into it by a past that refused to stay buried. Growing up in a rugged fishing village along the Atlantic coast, where storms battered the shores and built unbreakable spirits, she had enlisted in military intelligence straight out of high school, driven by a quiet fury to shield the vulnerable. Perhaps from the loss of her parents in a freak accident, she excelled in the shadows, decoding threats that others couldn't see. But that life came at a cost. A classified op gone wrong 5 years ago had left her with a jagged scar across her side and a limp that ached on rainy days, a constant reminder of the comrades she couldn't save. Tonight's reunion for Navy SEAL Class 301 was meant to honor her brother Mike, a fallen hero from that elite group. Sarah had been invited as a guest speaker, her role in supporting their missions earning her a quiet respect. Yet doubt plagued her as she adjusted her modest jacket in the green room mirror, the fabric rough against her skin. Was she worthy of this stage, or was she just a ghost clinging to Mike's legacy? Her hands trembled slightly as she sipped black coffee, the bitter warmth grounding her amid the murmur of voices outside. The hall was alive with camaraderie, the scent of aged leather from old boots mingling with the faint metallic tang of metals. Pinned proudly on chests, rows of SEALs 301 strong, their faces etched with lines from missions and deserts and jungle sat, shoulder to shoulder, sharing war stories in low tones that rumbled like distant thunder. Spouses and families dotted the edges, adding a layer of warmth to the otherwise stoic gathering. Sarah ascended the steps, the wooden platform creaking under her uneven gait, the spotlight blinding like a searchlight from her past ops. She began her address humbly, voice soft yet resonant, recounting tales of unsung intelligence wins that had saved lives. The audience leaned in, a few nodding in recognition, but peace shattered abruptly from the wings. The 3 men emerged like predators, suits ill-fitting their bulky frames, eyes gleaming with malice. They were ex-contractors, ousted after Sarah uncovered their kickback scheme during a joint mission. Now, armed with doctored files, they hijacked the mic. "This woman is a disgrace," the leader bellowed, slapping papers on the podium. "She leaked classified data for cash, betrayed her own." Gasps rippled through the crowd, chairs shifting as SEALs exchanged wary glances. Sarah's pulse hammered, vulnerability flooding her like cold water. Inner turmoil raged. Confront them head-on and risk exposing her own classified wounds, or retreat and let dishonor taint Mike's memory forever. The moral weight pressed down truth versus silence, justice versus peace. A hush fell, broken only by the faint hum of overhead vents stirring the air. Dust particles swirling in the beams like tiny omens. Her coffee cup, forgotten on the edge, vibrated from the collective tension, a thin ring of liquid trembling inside. Neighbors in the audience, veterans' wives clutching programs, whispered urgently, "This can't be right," their faces paling as the atmosphere thickened, heavy with unspoken loyalty. Sarah thought this nightmare was sealed away in redacted files. She was wrong, drawing on reserves she didn't know she had. Sarah gripped the podium, her knuckles whitening. "Let's dissect your fairy tale," she said, tone ice cold, activating the projector with a flick of her tablet, a gadget from her intel days. Loaded with backups, short bursts of revelation followed, your timestamps fabricated, signatures amateur forgeries. Long, vivid descriptions poured from her lips, painting the scene of their original betrayal, how she'd caught them siphoning funds meant for troop safety. The crowd stirred, murmurs building to a buzz. A seal in row 3, his tattooed arms crossed, muttered to his buddy, "She's got 'em, look at the sweat on that one's brow." Others rose halfway, eyes narrowing, the room's energy shifting like a ship turning against the wind. Cliffhangers punctuated the unraveling. One accuser snatched for her device. Would he destroy the evidence? Sarah twisted away, her limp no hindrance to the fluid dodge honed in training halls. The audience reacted viscerally, families edging closer to aisles, phones emerging to capture the drama. A collective intake of breath, as if the air itself held suspense. Moral tension intensified. Exposing them publicly felt righteous. Yet Sarah's heart ached. Were these men redeemable, or had bitterness consumed them beyond repair? She flashed back to Mike's letters, urging compassion even in battle, clashing with the fire in her veins. The climax built to a crescendo, visually electric, as denials crumbled. Sarah unveiled the kill shot, projected emails, timestamps irrefutable, detailing their greed. "You tried to pin me," she declared, voice rising like a command, "but I've faced worse shadows." In unison, the 301 SEALs surged to their feet, a human wave crashing forward. Coordinated movements precise as any op, filling the front rows with unyielding presence. No weapons drawn, but their solidarity struck like thunder boots stomping. In rhythm, fists pumping, the hall vibrating with approval. The accusers folded instantly, faces ashen, slinking away under escort amid jeers and sharp words from the crowd. "Traitors in our house." One SEAL growled, the sentiment echoing. In the euphoric aftermath, Sarah's legs buckled slightly, but strong. Hands steadied her SEALs, clasping her shoulders, sharing hugs and stories of Mike that mended fractures in her soul. Vulnerability gave way to vindication. She wasn't a fraud, but a survivor. Kindness bloomed unexpectedly. A young widow from the class presented her with Mike's old dog tags, whispering he'd be proud. The moral resolve, justice through truth, tempered with mercy, proved stronger than vengeance. As the lights softened and applause waned, the auditorium exhaled, tension dissolving into shared relief, the air now scented with hope rather than conflict. Because courage isn't born in silence, it roars when the world needs it most. And in that reclaimed spotlight, where lies had once loomed, Sarah touched her scar, knowing every wound could heal into a story of unbreakable will. If this tale of defiance and heart moved you, smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life epics that remind us of our inner strength. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do? In Sarah's shoes, I read them all and cherish every story you share. Until next time, keep standing tall.